Beautiful. All right, we'll get started. So hi, everyone. Welcome to Osteocare Group's webinar on gut health. My name's Hannah. I'm one of the dietitians working for Osteocare Group, and I'll be taking you through the presentation today. Gut health is a real trending topic at the moment. I'm sure you've seen a lot about it in the media and on social media. So today we're going to take a look into what gut health is, what are some of the signs and symptoms of a healthy gut versus an unhealthy gut, and what we can do to improve our gut health. So let's jump into the presentation. So first is to break down what we actually mean when we say gut health. So first of all, you need to understand what we're talking about when we're actually talking about the gut. So when we say the gut, we're referring to your gastrointestinal system. And when people talk about gut health, they're most often talking about the stomach and the intestines. But other body parts like the mouth and the esophagus could also be considered part of the gut. The gut's primary role is to digest the food and drinks we consume, absorb nutrients from them, and then take what we don't need and excrete it as waste product. Gut health is a pretty broad term, but generally gut health is referring to a gastrointestinal system that is able to effectively digest the food we eat, absorb the nutrients that we need, and excrete waste with minimal gastrointestinal symptoms. And we'll go over what those symptoms are throughout the presentation. So you can see from this diagram here, food we eat enters through the mouth. It travels down our esophagus and into the stomach. From there, food moves through the small intestine, followed by the large intestine, and that also includes the colon, rectum, and anus. So taking a closer look at the stomach and the intestines, starting with the stomach. When the foods we eat reach the stomach, the cells in the lining of the stomach secrete a strong acid and powerful enzymes that are responsible for breaking down the food. This process of breaking down food is important as it allows us to access the nutrients in the food we eat in a way that our body can absorb. And of course, it's important for making sure that anything our body doesn't need passes through the rest of the digestive system and reaches a form that we're able to comfortably pass, meaning that when we go to the bathroom and we open our bowels, we're able to easily remove that waste product. Some nutrients get absorbed in the stomach, but the primary goal here is to just break down the food enough that it's able to then move to the small intestine. Food will then enter into the small intestine in a semi-solid state, and from here, the small intestine will use water, bile, enzymes, and mucus to continue breaking down the food. Around 95% of the nutrients that our body absorbs is absorbed through the small intestine, so that includes things like vitamins and minerals. So you can see how important it is that this is all functioning properly so that we're able to absorb those nutrients. Once the contents of the small intestine have reached a completely liquid form, they then pass on to the large intestine. So some remaining nutrients are absorbed in the large intestine, but as I said, the food will pass through in a liquid state. So primarily we're absorbing water through the large intestines to leave behind what should be a nice formed but soft stool that we're then able to pass when we go to the bathroom. It should move through comfortably and we should be able to get all that waste product out in that one go. So now looking at how the gut influences our overall health. The connection between gut health and other aspects of our health can actually go both ways. And by that, I mean whether our gut is healthy or not can impact on the health status of other parts of our body. And if other parts of our body are unhealthy, that can also lead to poor gut health. Of course, one of the key ways our gut influences the health of the rest of our body is, as we just looked at on the previous slide, the gut breaks down the foods we eat and absorbs nutrients from that food. Those nutrients are essential for supporting all other aspects of our health in functioning, and all other parts of our body in functioning at their best and maintaining or improving our overall health. In some cases of poor gut health, our body's ability to adequately absorb nutrients can be impaired. And so this means that even though we might be eating the foods to provide our body with the required nutrients, we aren't actually absorbing some of that nutrients, and instead they get passed out with our waste product. Without these essential nutrients, other parts of our body are not able to function at their best, as they heavily rely on these nutrients for different parts of our health and well-being. So this would include supporting functions like wound healing, good mental health, our energy levels, and having a well-functioning immune system. Research into how the gut influences our health is a really growing area at the moment, but we know that there are links between the health status of our gut and our immune system, our mental health, the prevalence of autoimmune diseases, the prevalence of endocrine disorders such as type 2 diabetes, gastrointestinal disorders such as irritable bowel syndrome, cardiovascular diseases, some types of cancer, and our sleep quality. So there's no set universal definition of what it means to have a healthy gut, but generally a healthy gut is defined by the absence of gastrointestinal symptoms. So abdominal pain, diarrhea, constipation, gas, bloating, and the absence of disease such as inflammatory bowel disease and colon cancers. Having a healthy gut does not mean a complete lack of these symptoms. For example, you might experience some bloating or gas from time to time. If it doesn't impact on your day-to-day life and the quality of your life, then it's likely that your gut is healthy. For individuals who do suffer from disease and disorders of the gut, the aim is to manage the symptoms and achieve a level of gut health that is achievable for you and your specific condition. Another identifying factor for a healthy gut is having a healthy gut microbiome. So gut microbiome refers to the bacteria and other living microorganisms that all live along the gastrointestinal tract. As we all live our day-to-day lives in different environments with different combinations of habits and surroundings and diets, each of us has a gut microbiome that looks at least slightly different to that of even our closest family and even your spouse, your kids, anyone you live with. It's all going to be at least slightly different. Your microbiome is like a bacterial fingerprint, so it's entirely specific to you. The organisms in the gut microbiome play an important role in the digestion, nutrient absorption, and other bodily processes, which can include your metabolism, maintenance of a healthy weight, your immune regulation, and brain function, which includes your mood and mental well-being. So you might have seen this before. This is called the Bristol stool chart, and it can help you better describe the type of bowel movements that you're having. A healthy stool should generally look like types 3 and 4, and you should be having a bowel movement anywhere from 3 times a week to 3 times a day. Anywhere within that range is considered normal for you. So while we cannot use one specific measure for our gut health, some signs that you might be having poor gut health can include digestive symptoms such as gas, bloating, constipation, diarrhea, reflux, and heartburn. Changes to your bowels, so any changes to how often you're going to the bathroom or the consistency. So we looked at that just on that slide before. Generally 3 times a day to 3 times a week is healthy, but if you suddenly get any dramatic changes or you fall out of that, you're going more than 3 times a day or less than 3 times a week, then that can be a sign that something is wrong. Changes to stool color as well. Sometimes we see that stool can be more on the yellow or red or even green side. That can be an indicator that something is wrong. And any pain when you go to the bathroom, whether that's abdominal pain or it's actually pain in opening your bowels, any pain there can be a sign that something is wrong. Sleep disturbances and fatigue are another big one. If you're experiencing increased fatigue throughout the day, that can be a sign that something is going on with your gut. Your mood and emotional state, so high stress, high anxiety, or low mood, particularly if nothing has changed in the rest of your life to cause any of these changes, it can be a sign of something happening within the gut. And high frequency of infectious illness. So we're heading into cold and flu season at the moment. Getting a cold doesn't mean that you have poor gut health. And when you do have a cold, you might experience some gastrointestinal symptoms at the same time. You've got that virus in your system. But if you are constantly getting run down, that could be a sign that there's something going on with your gut. So there's a lot of different things that influence our gut health, but some of the key ones are going to be your age. So as we get older, our gut microbiome naturally changes and we become more susceptible to gastrointestinal symptoms. Older people are also at a greater risk for some gastrointestinal conditions such as diverticulitis, which can impact on digestion and health. Some medications, such as antibiotics, can affect the bacteria in our gut, and some other medications can also impact functions like stomach acid secretion. So if you've recently changed medications and you're experiencing symptoms, that could be the cause. And it's always worth talking to your doctor or even your pharmacist about that. Sometimes it's something as simple as whether or not you have the medication with food, if you have it in the morning or at night, or you might just need to spread the dose into 2 smaller doses instead of 1 big dose. There's generally things they can do to help manage your symptoms. It's not something that you just have to accept because you need the medication. Not getting enough sleep can also impact the gut in a variety of ways, including increasing stress and inflammation in the body, which can impact on our gut. Additionally, when we don't get enough sleep, we tend to make poorer food choices, and that can be partially because we're super tired. I know if I didn't get a good night's sleep and then I've worked all day, I come home, I'm not really in the mood to prepare a super nutritious meal, especially if that's going to take a lot of time and energy and effort to do. But also we tend to crave more energy-dense and processed foods. So we didn't get enough energy from our sleep the night before, so we tend to try and seek that out in food instead, which leads to poorer food choices. Regular physical activity has been linked to improve gut health and reduce risk of gastrointestinal disorders such as inflammatory bowel disease, diverticulitis, and colon cancer. So trying to get some movement in every day is important. Diet, of course, heavily impacts on our gut health. We're going to talk about that more in the upcoming slides. Alcohol can disrupt the balance of good and bad bacteria, and it can cause GI symptoms in people who are a little bit more sensitive. Some people get loose bowels, some people can end up more constipated. Nausea, gas, and bloating are also pretty common symptoms. Mental health is a huge one as well. We're going to break that down in its own slide in a moment. And then our overall health state, so any viral infections or chronic diseases that you might have, just your overall health and well-being can impact on your gut health. So now looking into some of the nutrients and foods that can contribute to a healthy gut. First up is fiber. You're going to hear me say the word fiber about 500 times throughout the rest of this presentation now. But fiber can improve gut health as it helps keep our bowels regular, both in frequency and consistency. So it helps move everything through the intestines and out at a nice, comfortable rate. It helps keep our stools nice and formed so they're not too liquidy so we don't have diarrhea, but it also stops them from being too hard. It just keeps it at a nice, comfortable consistency. It also can help reduce the risk of bowel cancer, and certain types of fiber feed the healthy bacteria in our gut. We're going to touch on that in the next slide. Australian adult women should be aiming to eat at least 25 grams of fiber a day and about 30 grams for men. Some sources of fiber will include fruits, vegetables, beans, lentils, legumes, and whole grains. So whole grain breads, whole grain cereals. We want to try and find foods with at least 3 grams of fiber per serve. So if you are, for example, buying a brand of bread, you want to look at the nutrition information panel on that bread. There'll be a per serve and a per 100 gram column, and it will tell you, how many calories, how much protein, all sorts of things are in that food. In the per serve column, you want to try and find something with at least 3 grams of fiber per serve as your minimum. You only want to worry about that with your fiber containing foods. You don't want to try and find, a brand of milk that has 3 grams of fiber per serve. But just when you're choosing your whole grain foods and your vegetables and things like that, trying to find something where on that nutrition panel, if that product has it, you can get at least 3 grams of fiber per serve. So pre and probiotics are also key for creating a healthy environment in the gut. Prebiotics are what I mentioned before, so they're that specific type of fiber that act as a food source for the beneficial microorganisms living in our gut. They're found in a lot of plant-based foods, so certain types of fruits and vegetables, whole grains and beans, lentils and legumes, versus probiotics, which are the bacteria and the microbes that live in our gut, and we can get them from some of the foods we eat, particularly from fermented foods such as yogurts that have live or active cultures of bacteria in them, and also things like kimchi, sauerkraut, miso, and kombucha. And there's also some cheese that will have live active cultures in them as well. Supplementation can be beneficial where dietary consumption of these foods hasn't been adequate, or particularly following a course of antibiotics, because sometimes in the process of that antibiotics killing off the bad bacteria that's making us unwell, it can also kill off some of the good bacteria and microbes in our gut. So if you are going to be on antibiotics, definitely worth chatting to your doctor about whether or not being on a probiotic at the same time or following a course of antibiotics can be beneficial for you. Diversity in the diet is key for for building good gut health, particularly when it comes to your plant-based foods. All foods will have a different nutrient makeup. And so therefore having a wide variety of foods in the diet means that you are giving your body a wide variety of nutrients and those prebiotic fibers and probiotics. So you're building a really diverse gut microbiome, which is key for having a really healthy gut. Limiting processed foods is also important for maintaining good gut health. These foods contain little nutrients that contribute to good gut health and can disrupt the balance of good and bad bacteria. In particular, these foods often contain little to no fiber, so they provide no real benefit to the gut. And when these foods displace other food in our diet, over time our gut health diminishes. So that's the key thing, is that it's not to say that you can never have these processed foods if you're trying to have good gut health, but you do want to make sure that they're not replacing the really nutritious foods in your diet. They're just a little addition that you have every now and then. So research into the connection between gut health and mental health is a really growing area at the moment. And as with the connection between gut health and our overall health, the connection between gut health and mental health can go both ways. So this is referred to as the gut-brain interaction or the gut-brain axis. And research shows that when there are issues with our gut microbiome, we can experience increased mood swings and feelings of depression and anxiety. Then on the flip side of this, our mental health can impact on our gut health. So you might find that when you're stressed, anxious, or even really excited, your bowels can change. So you might experience diarrhea or constipation, or you might just find that when you get nervous, you suddenly need to go to the bathroom. There's also growing evidence to show that poor mental health can negatively impact on the gut bacteria. However, this is a bit of a multifactorial link, as, for example, somebody with depression is less likely to have a really diverse diet. They're less likely to spend time putting together more complex or meals with more ingredients, particularly if you're struggling with sort of general day-to-day tasks. Then we tend to see that somebody struggling with their mental health just has a less diverse diet and a lower nutrient diet just because of the struggles that they're facing on a day-to-day basis. And then you combine that with the fact that research also shows that just having poor mental health is going to directly impact the gut microbiome anyway. So when you combine the diet and all the other factors of poor mental health, we can see that it really starts to impact on the gut. So now we're going to look at some quick tips for improving your gut health. So as we've already looked at, ensuring adequate fiber intake is one of the best things that you can do for your gut health. Fiber can help keep our bowels regular, both in frequency and consistency, and it can help reduce the risk of bowel cancer. And of course, it helps feed those healthy bacteria in our gut. So try making sure that there is a clear source of fiber in all of your meals, and aim for 25 to 30 grams of fiber sort of as your minimum throughout the day. Aiming for at least 2 litres of water per day. Water, of course, provides many benefits to our body. Specifically when it comes to gut health, though, water helps keep everything moving through the digestive tract. So it works with the fiber in our diet to help make our stools soft and comfortable to pass. If we have a really high fiber diet, but we're just not getting any fluids in, then we can end up actually more on the constipated side, because without that water there to combine with the fiber and keep our stools nice and soft, we can end up just getting backed up. So we need the combination of the fiber and the water to help keep everything formed so that it moves through and comes out in a nice solid state, but also so that it's not too hard to pass. We need to still keep it soft enough that it's comfortable. Including more variety of plant-based foods in your diet. So the recommendation is actually to aim for 30 different plant-based foods per week. So that might sound like a lot, but remember this includes all of your fruits, vegetables, grains, beans, lentils, legumes, nuts, and seeds. And so this variety provides a wide range of nutrients and prebiotics that our body uses to do all the things that it needs to do, but also to maintain that good balance of bacteria in the gut. Including fermented foods in your diet. So these are the foods we mentioned before that have the probiotics in them. So trying to aim for at least one fermented food in your diet each day. So that could include kimchi, kombucha, sauerkraut, yogurts, misos, cheese, or even little Yakult drinks as well. Developing strategies to help you deal with stress. I know this is easier said than done, but using tools like exercise, meditation, and creative outlets, talking with friends to help manage your stress levels can help your body to better manage your gut health. Reducing stress can help reduce digestive discomfort, and it can help maintain that balance of the good bacteria in the gut. Aiming for 8 hours of sleep per night. Most adults need 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night, with women generally needing a little bit more than men. A lack of sleep has been shown to impact our stress and our mental health, and as I mentioned before, our dietary choices, as we tend to lean more towards more processed and energy-dense foods. And research has also shown that there's a direct link between the quality of our sleep and our gut microbiome being healthy and flourishing. So making sure that we are prioritizing our sleep. Gentle exercise, especially after eating, can help to aid in digestion and reduce symptoms like gas, bloating, reflux, and cramping. So gentle exercise would be things like walking, a nice easy bike ride, yoga or Pilates, as opposed to like a really intense run or an intense weightlifting session. You can still do those more intense exercises in your day-to-day routine, of course, but particularly following after eating, if you do get some symptoms like reflux or digestive discomfort quite quickly after eating, sometimes some gentle movement can be good. I know for myself, if I'm, say, at work and I have my lunch, after I've had my lunch, that's my time where I go fill out my water bottle, I go to the bathroom, I might just go around, have a bit of a walk, have a chat with people, just to get myself up and moving so that I'm not sitting right after I finished eating. Because I find if I'm sitting, particularly if I'm sitting hunched over like I tend to do, that can definitely cause a bit of reflux and digestive upset. Switching to whole grains, so whole grain bread over white bread, brown rice over white rice, whole grain cereals using things like quinoa, couscous, and rolled oats in your diet. That's not to say that things like white rice are just automatically super bad for you, but using a brown rice is better for your gut. It's got more of that prebiotic fiber, it's got more overall nutrients. So using whole grains instead is a really good way to help balance out that bacteria in the gut and keep it nice and healthy. When it comes to supplements for the gut, such as probiotics, there are many different strains and different levels of quality in supplements out there. So working with a dietitian to help decide if you actually need supplementation to begin with. And if you do, finding a supplement that is going to be most beneficial for you, finding the right strain, making sure it's of a good quality, making sure that it's really personalized to you and your specific needs. As we talked about, everybody's gut microbiome is so different, and it's not just dependent on what you eat, it's the environments that you're in and every other aspect of your life that's going to impact on your gut health. So making sure that if you are taking any supplements, they are specifically tailored to you and your needs so you can get the most benefit from them. Adding legumes into your diet, so lentils, beans, chickpeas, for example. You can buy them fresh, frozen, or my favorite, canned. Canned legumes are a really cost-effective way to increase the variety of plant-based, high-fiber foods in your diet. Added bonus that they're a really great protein source, not super relevant to gut health, but still super handy, and it means that you can combine them or replace your regular protein source at some of your meals with these. So try adding legumes to salads, soups, pasta sauces. You can combine them with your minced meat so they're a little bit less noticeable, making them into dips, so hummus dip. And meat-free Mondays are a really big trend at the moment. So I know I've talked a lot about plant-based foods today. You don't have to be on a vegetarian or vegan diet in order to have good gut health. It's just about making sure you are including a nice variety of plant-based foods in your diet. So meat-free Mondays is a big trend at the moment, where on Mondays people don't eat meat, and it forces them to find some more creative ways to include things like legumes into their diet. So I like to do, bean tacos. So I'll replace the mincemeat that I would use, and instead I'll use some beans. I don't really love the texture of beans, but I find if I chop them up really small, almost to look like they're a mincemeat, then I actually do like the flavor. It's just the texture that can be a little off-putting for me. So finding different ways that work for you to include them in your diet. Eat the rainbow. So this means eating a wide variety of colors in your diet every day. Just as with aiming for 30 plant-based foods in a week, aiming to eat foods from every color of the rainbow also ensures a variety of nutrients. The colours are actually reflective of the vitamins and minerals that are found in those foods. So getting a nice variety of colour in your diet means that you're getting a nice variety of nutrients. If aiming for 30 plant-based foods in a week seems a little bit out of your reach at the moment, then try looking at those plant-based foods that you are eating, and at each meal try to ensure that you have a variety of colours. So I know with some of my clients, we just start with 2. Every meal you have 2 different colours. So you might have carrots and you might have peas at dinner. You've got orange, you've got green, you've got your 2 colours covered. Then we might move up to 3 colours in a meal, then 4 colours, and make sure that over the course of the week, we've hit all the colours of the rainbow. It can be a nice way to just start increasing that variety in your diet. Including nuts and seeds in your diet. When I talk about increasing plant-based foods in the diet, a lot of people forget about nuts and seeds and how easy they can be to include. So these foods contain fiber, which we know is great for the gut, but they also contain healthy fats, which can help reduce inflammation in the gut if that's something that you're struggling with. A small handful of nuts each day or a couple of tablespoons of seeds is plenty to provide the body with the valuable nutrients that you need. So try adding nuts and seeds to cereals, yogurt, salads, blend them into your smoothies. You can mix them into a whole bunch of different foods, and you don't even really have to know they're there. They just add a really nice extra dose of nutrients. And then using fresh herbs, fruits, and vegetables for seasoning. This helps add extra nutrients and also reduces the amount of salt. And that can contribute to people feeling bloated and sluggish after their meals. If you've had a lot of salt, you tend to retain a lot of water after that. So reducing that salt can help lessen the water that you retain and help with that sort of sluggish feeling that you can get after eating. So I know I'm on a big citrus kick at the moment. So I love lemons, I love limes, using the juice, using the zest, using those as my flavoring. And it makes me feel a lot better after my meals. If you are going to be using any dried seasonings, they're completely fine as well. But if you're going to be buying, for example, some dried parsley, just check the ingredients and make sure the only ingredient in it is parsley. They haven't added any salt or anything else to it. So I know I've thrown a lot of information at you today, so we'll sum it up. So gut health is linked to all other aspects of our health, and it can go both ways. Poor health in other parts of our body can impact on the health of our gut. And if our gut isn't healthy, it can cause other parts of our body to feel unhealthy as well. So you might have a poor gut, but the symptoms you experience might be that you're really tired and that you feel really anxious. So it can be sometimes hard to identify what's going on, which is why working with a doctor or a dietitian is so important. Diet is just one contributing factor to your gut health, but it's a really great starting point if you're looking to make some improvements. It's important to remember some of the symptoms associated with gut health can be signs of other conditions. So always speak to your doctor or dietitian if you are noticing any major changes, particularly with your bowels. Make sure that you are reaching out for assistance. But overall, what I really hope you take away from today is that gut health is so important. It has such a big impact on our overall health and the quality of our lives. Our guts, and specifically our gut microbiomes, are all very unique. So just because something worked for someone you know or someone you saw online, it doesn't mean that it's going to be suitable for you and your gut. But the main aim for improving your gut health is to meet your required fiber intake through a variety of plant-based foods such as fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, nuts, and seeds, and ensure you have adequate fluid intake. Focus on getting a good night's sleep, reduce your alcohol consumption, and develop strategies to help you deal with stress. So our dietitians are available to help you one-on-one with any concerns you might have about your gut, including things like IBS, Crohn's disease, and celiac disease. We're also available for a number of other conditions like diabetes, women's health, weight management, sports nutrition. So please reach out to us. We can do in-person and telehealth appointments as well. So reach out if you are after any assistance. And also we have some more upcoming webinars. So if you're interested in learning about food allergies or fussy eating, then don't forget to RSVP for those presentations as well, that you can also attend live or also watch the recordings. So thank you so much to everyone today. Thank you for those of you who have attended live and to all the people who are watching the recording at a later time. So Thank you for joining us. I hope you got something out of it and have a lovely rest of your day.